don't know how some of these people go to Walmart. I go to Walmart and spend $200 and it's not enough to hardly feed me and my wife, and some of these people working there, several kids.
Well, what it does, it hurts the morale of the guys. The guys don't come and give me everything. They work hard, but I think they work a little bit hard for a little more money.
Is this right here is what the salary is now or what they're wanting it to go to on the front?
On the front, this is the 2021.
Because I thought when we gave the department heads a raise last time, that was fine as far as it was going to go, and I think we need to work with the people who are out there working.
That was the whole point of this. If you'll remember, when we gave the department heads a raise, and before that we gave the lower level raise, and then we had to start dealing with the minimum wage increases. Now we've got some people that are making more money due to overtime than their supervisor. And that was the big calamity that caused us to man this workshop to try and get everybody lined out so that everybody's happy and everybody can make a living wage.
That's what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
The lower guys, because we've already gave the department head one last year, raised it up.
Right, and the year before that, we gave the lower guys and the guys in the middle a raise, and that's why we had to give the department heads a raise, was because the guys in the middle were making more than them.
But I think, $79,000 for the mayor and $72,000 for the department heads, I think that money needs to go to people like his guys who are out
Well,
there.
I'm not gonna argue that, but you can't cut somebody's pay once they've already got it.
Well, I'm talking about, this isn't cut, this is coming in.
Well, we haven't voted on the next budget yet.
That was already in there.
Yeah, well,
Let me ask Jim, the thing that I couldn't tell from all this is, what, if you know, what is the payroll increase to the bottom line on our budget? If you can tell from the way this works, what will our salary total be for this year, or for 2021 under this plan versus what it was for 2020 budget?
Okay, I don't have it consolidated. What, that was what page 6 was showing on, it just shows the reserve amount that's coming out at 61.8. That gives you everything in the budget taken into consideration on page 6. If you look up under the 2021 request, that's 61,800 to come out of reserve of everything approved as we discussed.
Okay.
This year's budget was approved at 66,673. So I don't remember exactly. I think the fire department went up 8%.
So you're saying the net cost of this payroll increase is only an extra $60,000?
61, well, it's not,
I mean, from looking at that,
well,
that would have, doesn't
with revenue projections,
So there's already a whole bunch of 2021 budget estimates in the 5 pages for this.
You couldn't do it in a vacuum here. We're trying to balance all these competing.
Yeah. So a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, we're trying to do all the moving parts.
All right, what do we do? Call it order. Let's call it to order one more time. All right, now, so let's come back together for this particular portion so we can get ready to leave. Are there any other challenges at this time? And now, I cannot enforce a law like that, but I am saying that if we are doing a workshop now, if this is the workshop, then to start this whole thing over on the second Tuesday, well, I mean, I really would like to go on and get some of this done. So if we're going to start moving forward, then we need to, I'm hoping that if we present it, which I don't think we're ready for that portion yet, but I'm hoping that this workshop is actually serving as a workshop, and we don't have to start all over every single discussion when we get ready to talk again. I go to the JP meeting, man, they can get out of there in about an hour, this is way too long. So I'm hoping that this will serve as an actual workshop so that we can move forward, that's all I'm asking.
I'm fine, but Mark, this is really, he can tell you, the sanitation part and stuff like public works is part of his heart. He's gonna be part of it, and it's gonna have to be, you know.
The way this is laid out, it's a little, I say squirmy, it's a start, but there again, if you couldn't compare what it was to what it is, you're doing a lot of back and forth, and I didn't spend enough hours taking the 2020, doing the math, and then comparing it to this one to know what was going up and down, really.
Well, the only way that you're gonna see that is if I give you the 2021 budget as it stands in the model today. Because you'll have 18, 19, budget for 20, estimated for 20, and the budget for 21. In other words, you'll see the whole package.
And that would be fine, but what we're talking about is just the salary part. You have to take it has the positions and the salaries, like we was talking about on that page, so that you can compare the 2020 employee list to the 2021 employee list with the pay scales on there, how many workers and what that salary total is, and that's.
You need to have an HR department.
Well, if you do it, it's just like I said, the way it was, it didn't. Yours is looking at the totals.
Direction.
Yeah, yours was looking at the totals.
And you've got the model, the budget model can be given to you that have, that's just extracted out so you can see just the compensation part of what's in this model.
Well,
So, if you're wanting to know a person by hourly rate, by whatever, that's an HR function, that's not in this model, and that's gonna have to be done separately. So you'll need to give us some direction on what you want. I'm trying to just tell you for 2021, you can afford this if you choose to afford it. If you want to reallocate money around, then you can reallocate money around, and that's giving you the impact of what you've got. So, I don't know what to do next step. Personally, for the treasurer speaking, I don't know what to do.
Yes, sir.
got two separate things, is this,
Okay, so you got a letter from our city clerk, Donald Stewart, right? And then you got a budget from our city treasurer. Okay.
there's two separate things we're looking at?
Mine was just something to think about.
Yeah.
I did, as I was going through it, I noticed one thing, and this isn't, forgive me for getting off topic just a little bit. I did notice that there was a $15,000 line item for municipal building improvements. I was just curious, is there a certain project that we're planning to, I realize we have that kind of money allocated every year for it. It's just, is there a particular project that we're looking to do based on that?
The short answer for
Okay.
that is this building's old. And we try to keep enough, there's several projects that need to take place. We were
Right.
lucky enough to, throw the ionizers in, we have AC issues, we have a state-of-the-art air conditioning unit system from 1980. So we need that.
Right.
Whether or not we're gonna use it, I don't know, but there's no specific project right now.
Okay, so this is just this is basically maintenance and upgrades as you need them.
Yes and no, but it's because this building is so old, we don't really know.
Okay.
What's gonna break.
But it's not, but you don't have a particular plan project.
It's not a dedicated
Yeah, no.
project, it's a provision.
Okay, got
Thank you,
it.
that's it, thank you.
And Scott, while you're standing up, I just wanted to ask you I have 500 pieces of paper in front of me. So, real quick, what are going to be the duties? I noticed there was a new member of your office that was on the budget for, yes, that one.
Yes.
A compliance officer. And I guess, because originally you had planning and code enforcement officer, and I have notes somewhere in my stack. Originally, it was, the current person is called something else now. Apparently, we're gonna, I guess, bump them up and then hire a administrative assistant slash secretary.
Tentatively, yes. Right now, the position that we have, so the way our office works is you have the planning commissioner, the planning coordinator slash building inspector slash code enforcement officer.
Right. Yes.
That handles pretty much everything. And then you have your assistant who is, they were using the term deputy code enforcement officer. I don't really know where that came from, but it's not one of our listed job descriptions. Her actual title is planning coordinator slash code enforcement secretary.
Okay.
So what we're wanting to do is to create a position, which I'm still in the process of weeding out the responsibilities, but the primary responsibility is all of these nuisance properties we have in the city limits right now is having that compliance officer who is in charge of enforcing those ordinances. So you'll essentially separate the two responsibilities, where you'll have the building side, where we're talking about building code, plan reviews, zoning enforcements and things like that, and then you'll have the nuisance ordinance type things, which really consume a lot of time. We did over 50 abatements this last month, and that's with just me on the street, coordinating things with Jeanette, having Jeanette push through all the paperwork. Essentially, we're going to take those two and separate it, so that way we're not cheating the citizens of Camden for, you would honestly not believe the number of complaints that come in about compliance violations in regards to high grass, junk in the yard,
I can imagine.
everywhere. So we're doing a service to the city by creating a position where that will be their role. And they'll carry it from complaint all the way to court if they need to. They'll have enforcement authority. They'll have citation writing authority, but their whole job will be to enforce those nuisance ordinances, which is a truly huge benefit for the city, because one of the biggest complaints that we get is the attractiveness of the city, the abandoned houses, the junk in yards, the high grass, people don't want to live next to that. Well, I do my best. Every time I leave the office, I may be just going to do a gas pressure test down in Fairview somewhere, but my entire route there is depicted by where I've been getting complaints in high grass, so that we can get visuals on that, take photographs, have it all routed up. Now the change would be, the building inspector would be the department head, but would assume all responsibilities. We've had 3 or 4 rather large projects come through. We work really well with the fire department, but that takes away time from nuisance enforcement. Right. So that building aspect will be handled by the building inspector and the department head, who will also be the planning coordinator. But this new compliance officer will literally be the one that everybody gets to know in the community for coming to make sure your grass is cut. You don't have inoperable vehicles all parked in the grass, maybe look junky, all the trash and debris go. So it'll essentially go from a tertiary duty for the building inspector, whatever happens to be pulling you that way that day, to a primary responsibility for one employee full time. Now, both of them will be able to complement one another, because as it is, I put off for a very long time taking vacation where I was only taking Fridays off, or a Thursday off, or I've had a doctor's appointment time off, to where I finally just said, I'm going to take a full week with my kids. So I took that week off. That put us at a disadvantage because we didn't have anybody that could do electrical inspections. We didn't have anybody that could do plumbing inspections. And we're a little bit of a disadvantage right now because of COVID. They shut down all our training seminars. But each one of us will be able to complement the other. So when one needs to take vacation or is out sick, the other one will pick up those tertiary duties for a short period of time, but we won't have any lapse. Right now, what we really have is a lapse in that enforcement on the nuisance properties, where it's a big city. And so we're asking to bring that up, and it's beneficial to the citizens of Camden. I know a number of you aldermen get calls all the time about the conditions of some of the neighborhoods. It will add us another tool to go in there and do that, and essentially the idea would be ideally that we would bump Jeanette up in that position. She's a wonderful asset for the city. She's already gotten tremendous training and experience from the police department, and then we bring in a secretary to come down with it. Does that answer your question?
That answers it perfectly, thank you.
Everybody's like, "There's so much we can do."
Yes, sir.
Let me just say, I appreciate what you had Kevin do about the streets, of saying, let's divide the wards and put some money on it instead of the streets. Just pick 2 streets. And like I say, Marvin needs to get the message if he hasn't gotten that, because that's the first but no, anyway, I think it's a much better approach to doing this.
I agree.
And I'm wondering if that's going to be over the budget amount. That'd be 600 grand for the year we had budgeted. I think at 300 or 350 something. It's something over 300. So if we need to amend it at our next meeting, let's do. If not, I think we'll do it at the end of the year, whichever. But
I think we need to do a resolution to bring the money from streetscape to street improvements, and that would give every ward a chance to spend $150,000 on the streets you want done, instead of just 2 streets per ward.
Right.
So, I think we can do that, am I right, Amy? And I'll give you guys a list and prices of the streets. I got it with me now. I'll give it to you before you leave. And you pick which streets you want done. And Charles Foote is waiting on me to give him the list and he's ready to go.
Great.
Yes, sir.
Well, everybody's come up to me about the budget, it's gonna come, budget's coming up, and they're asking about, we're getting their streets done, and we're getting money to do that, and if we're building up a reserve. Do we have any type of reserve we're building up, putting money back in case something?
Oh, man. I'm also, we haven't spent any significant money on streets in 5 or 6 years, maybe, at least 4. And there's $2 million dedicated in the street fund that can be used for nothing except the street department, so.
Today, right now, because we're trying to keep money back and we haven't spent anything, you got $1,002,000. $1,200,000 is to spend. If you want to reallocate the budget like you said, you just have to understand that the streetscape good, you move it, but the streetscape gets an 80-20.
Right.
Where this is 100% coming out of our.
But we're not going to, we don't have plans to spend it this year, as best I
But you're
can.
not going to get reimbursed either. So if you take the streetscape out and move it, you need to take the grant dollars out too. So all I'm trying to say is, I think it's an excellent idea. I think we need to do it. We have the money to do it. It's just coming out of a different pot.
Yeah, okay.
So it's a 1-to-1 relationship versus an 80-20 relationship.
Regarding the streetscape, so we did get approved for the grant for phase 3, so is that not happening this year? Are we not doing that?
I don't know where we are on that.
I'm not sure.
I'm going to say that's what I was thinking.
Too late for this year.
Too late to get it done,
I
so
think
we
engineering-
can put that in the budget for next year, is what I'm saying.
Would we have to reapply for the grant, or?
Right now, the streetscape stuff is still going ahead. I still coordinate with the engineers on a daily basis. They sent a lot of the paperwork that we had sent them already. They're asking for it again. I don't know why I didn't ask why they didn't have it, because I've already got records of what's in it. But it's still going.
Okay.
But it's at the coordination phase between engineers and Arkansas Department of Transportation. And Arkansas Department of Transportation seems to need new copies of all the paperwork, so I've been emailing it as they requested, and that's kind of where we're at. And I'll bring Travis in for that as well, because I came in at the tail
But
end.
it sounds like that's going to be a paperwork issue and some engineering, not construction.
And I can't answer that on Lindsay, I apologize, because I'm right now just coordinating with the paperwork issue and things like that with the Arkansas Department of Transportation and the engineering company that is handling it.
I guess my question is, we're not in danger of losing the grant money that we were,
Not that I'm aware of.
okay, all right.
And we have enough money in CDs for the street department to fund this, because we have to fund it up front and then we get reimbursed.
Yes.
So by using the $1.2 million that's in the money market for actual street improvements, you still have reserve dollars to fund this if it comes through this year. It won't give us a chance to build up. I do have to say one other thing before I sit down. Along that same vein, the solid waste has a requirement that we maintain a 25% reserve.
Right.
This budget says that we're moving 100,000
Good
solid
street.
waste to here, and it's not gonna happen.
The reserve and the solid waste.
waste needs, well, two things have happened. A, we've been buying these very expensive pieces of equipment. And secondly, we have $150,000 we had to hold back for the landfill. So that kind of dipped into it. So we're right at the borderline, and so there won't be a transfer this year into the street fund. It could change, but it doesn't look like it's going to be that way.
That's good to know.
Thank you. On the subject of cleaning up our city, I think it's important to also mention that we haven't had to pay out for demolition, or we were going to subcontract for some demolition. We actually have someone who works with us who can help us do demolition. We actually have already spoken with the judge to try to expedite some of the processes and get them actually stick with us when the city is going after someone for the blight that's in our communities. And so the judge is saying that he will follow the law with us, and that's a big step because in the past we've run into some issues of giving them more and more time. Well, their neighbors calling City Hall, the whole time, or calling you for that matter. But that's gonna be helpful.
I think there's some confusion on that, but there's two separate parts on recovering the expenses we've had. So one is that when we are taking action on property, we're filing a lien against that property.
Right.
Okay, so that doesn't have to do with the judge. I mean, when we take action on property.
Right.
We're filing language when it comes before the council, and we say, okay, we're assessing $2,500 for the work. Now, that's a separate compensation for that. So when we do the work, whether that's mowing, or whether that's doing something to property, that's not going to a judge, that's on the tax side.
Oh, no, I didn't mean to say that.
Okay, well, that's.
I'm saying that when the judge, when we have gone to court, there's not really been punishment to the person for it. So when we've done it, the judge has,
That has not been presented. That's not, I'm just saying, I think there's a misunderstanding about how it goes down there, because that is not what is being requested, that's not how it works down there. Those are two separate things.
Oh, we can assess the lien.
I think you're confused, brought up demolitions and liens and collection of liens. What he's saying is there's a delineation between the two. You're talking about when citations are written. When a citation is written to a homeowner, right now what we're finding is they take under advisement rather than impose a fine.
Okay.
We're asking that, that's two separate issues. When we abate a nuisance, the city abates it, we put a lien on there, and, we put a lien and we expect that lien to be paid before they can pay their taxes.
Yeah.
We're working really hard on getting that done, but of course, as y'all know, they bring that lien reduction ahead and say, hey, we need 20%. And, we're kind of what's reduced, and, whatever, it's case dependent, that's how we do that. The separate issue that we're working on is more stringent in prosecution of the citations when they're written for nuisance properties. To make sure that, hey, it's not just gonna be, we'll give you some more time to clean up, it's gonna be, you didn't do it by the time we asked you to, the city exhausted every resource of contacting you, make sure you come into compliance, now we're gonna go ahead and issue a fine, and hold that person accountable. Because once you hold one accountable, or it starts to spread real quick that, oh my God, they actually did something, you better get your yard mowed, you better get the trash picked up, you better get the junk cleaned up, and we'll start seeing a huge improvement in our city. At least that's the idea.
So let me back out everything else. The judge is going to back up the actual citations that are written.
Which is different than being compensated for the work we've done.
So we've been losing 10,000.
That's, again, you're back to a separate issue, that's
Okay.
the liens. The liens and citations are two totally different things. Our community development fund is losing because we're not collecting money on the liens, so we need to make sure we're collecting on the liens. The citations are a separate issue.
Okay.
And I know everybody's tired, I'm happy to go into that later, if anybody else wants to listen to it. But I understand what you're saying, I'm trying to try.
Okay, I get it too.
Yeah, we'll clear there on that.
Is there any other discussion for now on item number 4 on the agenda?
I think this is a good start to it. I think,
I'm gonna gauge you.
I think there are some things regarding, like I said, part-time workers for parks and all that we do need to look into before we finalize this budget. As well as he mentioned, possibly looking at seeing what we can do to help out our sanitation workers as well. That's all I have.
I think we're gonna end up coming back with it because you didn't see too much of a Christmas list. Nice department, yeah.
Mr. Green? All right, is there anything else? Well, let's restrict,